Winning again.
You and me, we are just like so in sync, except that you did your makeup and you look stunning. And I'm like, just came off the road. I'm in Miami after a 4-hour trip looking all shiny. Hold on, let me go.
You made it. Oh my gosh. Also, let's not talk about who looks good because you are flawless naturally.
I'm super shiny and like came out of like a 4-hour drive. So I'm literally about to powder my face. Look, I see all kinds of people pulling up. You made me work for this one. I had to like type out like my responses because I was like, yo, she's making me go in.
Listen, we are here to provide value, and I'm so excited about all of the stuff we're going to cover today.
You're
And
awesome. You did a great, great job. It's been a pleasure partnering with you on behalf of Crypto Tutors.
I've been having a blast too. The whole Undertones team, excuse me, has been really excited about this series because increasing financial literacy is definitely like a really important conversation, especially in communities of color. So I'm excited. I'm glad you're excited. Can you hear me okay?
I can. The internet connection is perfect. You look flawless. This conversation is hopefully will be so beneficial. It's such a vital topic, as you mentioned. I'm honored to participate in this discussion, and thank you for having us.
So happy to have you. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to yet another session with Undertones and cryptocurrency or crypto tutors, excuse me. This is the second of four sessions in the series that we are doing to help increase financial literacy in communities of color. We are going to be talking all about crypto today, talking about the fundamentals and helping you get started with your crypto journeys. It looks like some of your co-founders are in the audience as well, which is super.
Hey,
Hi, Nina. Hi, Moetti.
my peoples.
Yes, 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 yes. So let's go ahead and jump in. Just in case there are people here who haven't gotten to see last week's recording or missed the live last week, let's start with introductions. Let's talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a fun fact that is unrelated to work.
Okay, well, my name is Lisa Francoeur, Franc girl for all of my Haitians out there. Yep, yep, yep. So there's tons of Haitians out here. I have been in tech for over 10 years. I spent the majority of my career selling SaaS-based products, which are, software as a service products for startups to Fortune 100s. And I have been in the crypto space for I'm coming up on a year. And I say that to say, yeah, for folks who are like just beginning their journey and just starting to get curious and want to explore, you can learn a lot in a very short amount of time. And to be honest, I'm glad that I have my co-founders on the live, live stream as well, because we founded this company on account of recognizing that there was a tremendous opportunity to build transgenerational wealth. The monetary system has, it's the fiat system, which is like your dollars, your euros, and the central banking authorities, which we'll get into. It's quite archaic. There hasn't been much innovation in the industry. And couple that with the fact that interest rates for your savings account, for instance, are less than 1%, it really does beg the question, is there a better way? And about 12 years ago, Bitcoin was birthed. And as I mentioned, about a year ago, almost a year, my business partners and I, we came together. And Moetti Nubi, who is a Zimbabwe American, he had been studying the financial system and dollars, or excuse me, I'm sorry, not dollars, but just like money in general, because he had experienced hyperinflation. And so that was something that led him to get his PhD in statistics and to write about stablecoin for his dissertation, become an algorithmic trader and so forth. And so Nina, who, my other business partner, we met at LinkedIn and became great friends, best of friends. She introduced him and I because she was like, Lisa is about empowerment and scaling empowerment globally. Moetti is about financial empowerment. Let's connect those two. And when the three of us got together, we were like, hold on a second. Not only is there an opportunity for us to learn and build wealth, but if we codify those learnings, then we can really make a significant contribution to our communities. And that was essentially the genesis of Crypto Tutors. So we simplify cryptocurrency through e-learning courses, one-to-one tutoring, and we help folks turn knowledge into wealth. So in a nutshell, that's us.
And then a fun fact about you that is unrelated to work.
Okay. I'm the daughter of a bull rider.
Okay,
Bull
that's
rider.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
Ever
Yeah.
heard that? That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that also speaks to just like how, I'm very audacious. I take a lot of risks and, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, let's jump right in. For those who are unfamiliar with what an actual cryptocurrency is, can you give us a quick definition of what it is?
Yeah, that's a great question. Cryptocurrency, in a nutshell, is a digital asset, right? And so the digital examples of digital assets, a lot of people have been speaking about Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are two of the most popular. But essentially, these assets are there are peer-to-peer transactions associated with these digital assets. And crypto comes from the word cryptography, which is also very important because cryptography is a technology that keeps information safe and hidden. And another thing about cryptocurrency is that it is a decentralized, it's a decentralized system. And I call that out because, centralized authorities are what govern the dollar, the euro, etc. The appeal and the allure of crypto is this decentralized system. And the cool thing about it is the blockchain, which is a network of global computers. They validate transactions. They validate transactions so that there are a number of different entities that are verifying versus one singular authority, which could lead to hacks. The banking systems, they have a lot of private information that they keep on each of us. And so if there's a hack, and there have been a number of hacks, well, that could be a catastrophe. And I'm sure we'll get into kind of what the impetus was behind why, these digital currencies are gaining so much traction.
Yes, for sure. So last week, we briefly touched on the fact that there are multiple types of cryptocurrencies. And I think it would be great to dive into that a little bit further this week since we're talking about the fundamentals. What kinds of cryptocurrencies are there?
So there's Bitcoin, which was the first cryptocurrency and really opened up the doors for what are called altcoins. So altcoins are alternatives to Bitcoin. And then there are tokens. And I think it's important to maybe spend a bit of time explaining each type of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So I'll start out with Bitcoin. It's getting a lot of attention in the media. Elon Musk, we may have spoken about last week, $1.5 billion he's invested. There's been a lot of institutional money, being directed towards Bitcoin. And the question remains, okay, but why? Why? How could it be that this 12-year-old form of digital currency could be so attractive? Well, there are a number of reasons. So I'm gonna try to unpack it. The first is that these are coins that are stored on computers, right? So like we talked about, digital assets. Secondly, these digital assets, they don't rely on central authorities. So, the middleman, and I think it would be helpful to give an example. So, when you have money in a US bank, odds are you have your money in dollars. And if you were to, try to send money, I'm Haitian. So if I tried to send money to Haiti, in order to do that, I would rely on the infrastructure of my bank to do that. And I would be charged exorbitant rates. These fees that were charged also cannibalize the amount of money that could get to the recipient, right? And, to come from a country like mine, sending money home is really important, and making sure that every single, dollar, cent, Bitcoin gets received, because, obviously we don't want to jeopardize the recipient's ability to get what you're intending for them to receive. So I say all of that to say that's one of the most attractive aspects about a Bitcoin. It doesn't rely on a central authority, and so remittance fees, what you call remittance fees, are reduced drastically. So, we should probably get into becoming our own banks, down the line, and creating our own economies, which I will talk a little bit about creating our own economy when we get into tokens, which are next on the kind of breakdown. But another thing I want to call out is that, banks store a lot of private information, and we touched upon it earlier. But I want to circle back to it because, over the past 10 years, there have been a ton of banks that have, in fact, been hacked. And, the challenge with that is, obviously, if your bank gets hacked, again, like that could be catastrophic. But unlike, Bitcoin, another thing that's attractive about digital currencies is that banks can also freeze your account. You cannot freeze, your crypto, but you can if you lose your seed phrase, right? So, when you create, your account with Coinbase or Waves.exchange, which we speak about quite a bit on CryptoTutors.com, and it's in our course. When you have created an account, there's a seed phrase associated with that account. The seed phrase is like your social security number. You need that to access your crypto. If you lose it, you will not be able to access your crypto. So I say that to say, as long as you do not disclose that seed phrase to anyone, no one can have access to your coins, right? There are, rare instances where there are encryption hacks, though. There are encryption hacks. It can be done, but it's highly improbable. Okay, so I say that to say it's a much safer way to kind of hold wealth. Secondly, about Bitcoin, I think that the financial crisis of 2008 was a real eye opener for many people. You had banks that were too big to fail. When a lot of regular folks didn't have and weren't afforded that same luxury. So again, in the vein of having an alternative to a system that, if you know the right people, you could get broken off. That's not the case when you're talking about a decentralized network. That's not the case when you're talking about Bitcoin. So one last thing, because I think it's also important to give examples, Johanna. When you go, are we going to get into decentralized? I think we talk about decentralized do we talk about decentralized networks versus centralized networks, or?
So we definitely can. In I think the next question might like that a little bit, but that's fine. You now if you want.
Okay, no. We'll come back to it. But again, we talked about Bitcoin. We talked about the mechanics behind Bitcoin. Now we can talk about altcoins. So altcoins are alternative coins. They're any coin that is not Bitcoin. So another thing about altcoins is that they use blockchain technology, right? That's the distributed ledger that we were talking about, or the global network of computers that validate transactions, similar to, Bitcoin, except that they follow slightly different rules than Bitcoin. So for example, Bitcoin, you can, there's only 21 million units. With
Right.
other coins, they're all coins, like Ethereum, Litecoin, et cetera, et cetera. There's like 8,000 cryptos. They have like different kind of mechanics. We're not going to like go all into the depths, because I feel like you guys could do your own research. I know we have a very smart, very inquisitive community that does their DD, aka their due diligence. But we talked about altcoins, and the last is tokens. So one thing about tokens is that they are not crypt. Okay, so let me pause for a second. Okay, so digital coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., they are native to their blockchain.
Right.
Okay, so that means that like these coins they have their own unique blockchain. Okay, now tokens, on the other hand, build on other blockchains. So there is let's call it a genre of tokens called non-fungible tokens, NFTs. And
Mhm.
this is becoming very popular in the art world because artists are able to create digital versions of their work, and they're able to use these NFTs to capitalize on their work. So they're able to sell and transact using these NFTs. So the type of cryptos again are, Bitcoin, altcoins, and tokens.
Awesome. And then
That
you
was a lot, but I want to be extremely, thoughtful in how we respond.
For sure. And it's important too, right? Because like I've only just started hearing about NFTs, for example, because of the artists friends that I have.
Yep.
Um, also happen to be really into like blockchain technology. But for people who don't know it exists, having an idea of what the options are that are out there is super helpful. Um, so you touched on this briefly, but there are a bunch of different options for how to buy crypto, buy, trade, hold crypto. Can you talk through some of the options that are maybe most popular or that you like the most, and talk about the pros and cons for some of those?
Sure. So, Cash App, a lot of us have access to Cash App. That is, I gotta look at these chats. NFTs are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me see who said that because Nina, they're actually selling, if you look up people selling for 1 million, like now they're in the millions. So yeah, I'm sorry. Alternative coins are fantastic. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat because I was like, damn, let me make sure people know that, we check it for you too. This ain't just me lecturing and
Right.
Johanna questions. Sounds good. So interested in this. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Who said that? Joe,
Oh,
this or okay, all right, all right. Okay, sorry. I digress.
by the way, Joe is also Haitian, so
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, you asked me about what? I
uh,
got
buying and storing, trading cryptocurrencies. What are some of the different platforms?
okay,
For
got
you?
it. Okay, cool. So we spoke about Cash App, right? So here's what's interesting. Like you're starting to see more marketing, right? Like initially, years ago, it was like taboo even to think about Bitcoin and crypto in general. It was very sort of like taboo because there was a lot of other use cases that we'll not discuss on this conversation, but you could check out Silk Road and some of the early stuff. But so Cash App is like a very simple way for you to buy Bitcoin. You can do it right from your phone. I'm not that familiar with the platform because one of the things I like to do is a bit of analysis, chart analysis, to kind of see, the ebbs and flows of how the coin is performing so I can make better investment decisions. So I don't really know how that works on Cash App, but that's something that I think is one of the easiest ways to procure crypto. Secondly, Coinbase is one of the most popular. They're headquartered here in the U.S. And I think the interface is like very kind of simple. I would say pretty simple. If you look at some other exchanges, so hold on, let me give you the pro and the con. So with Cash App, for instance, it's very easy to procure the coins. I think that the con, and I'm not that well versed in that app per se, but I don't think you could do like much chart analysis, and like I don't think you can set things like a limit order versus a market order, which I'll talk about when I talk about the more advanced exchanges. The Cash App is an option. Secondly, Coinbase, again, really simple user interface. The you can look at charts and do some analysis. You can set alerts, which are these are all benefits. Every platform will charge you transaction fees, so that's something to pay attention to. I don't know what the transaction fees are for each respective platform, but pay attention to that. I will say also Coinbase and Waves Exchange is what crypto tutors. Okay, yeah. So Nina's giving you a scoop on where you can learn information about the exchanges that we use. um, Coinbase cons. Cons, it takes time for your money to be deposited into the account. So if you want to add funds to the account, it can take anywhere, if you're just opening up your account, it can take like 7 to 14 days. So I would say that's a con. But definitely very simple and easy to use. Now, Waves.exchange is another that we really like. We like it because the processing time is super fast. It was awarded for, I think, a few years now, the fastest exchange across all exchanges. So that's definitely a benefit. I'd say a con is the user interface. It was made for developers by developers, so it can be a little bit complex to use. But again, this is great, self-learning, like take the initiative to kind of, feel, do your research and see what platforms work for you. And then another thing I'll add is there's Binance as well. Gemini is one of the most secure, I think it might be considered the securest. Is that a word, securest? I don't know about that. We just making shit up now, basically? Okay, we're making shit up. It's definitely the most secure, as they say in Chicago. I'm not from Chicago, I'm from New York, but anyways. But the transaction fees are super high.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then for Robinhood users,
I don't even think about Robinhood. First of all, an exchange that's going to shut you down and prevent you from buying and selling is whack. So I don't really have anything to say about that.
yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Um,
But fractional buying is very important. So one other thing I have to add is that when it comes to, Bitcoin, for example, which is damn near $50,000, people think I don't have $50,000. Well, you can buy Satoshis. Satoshis are fractional Bitcoins. So across all of these exchanges, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum, you can buy these cryptos fractionally.
and
So,
we're
oh,
actually, I was just gonna say we're actually gonna be doing a post about Satoshis in partnership with you guys on Monday.
see, I'm like, I'm Tina.
You totally are. But so if you're curious about Satoshis, what they mean, what like the sizes are that are available, we'll talk a little bit about that on Monday. And then the other question that comes up is when you're buying and selling your crypto, do you have to buy and sell it in the same places that you're storing it?
Do you have to buy it in? Okay, so for most people, they will have multiple exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me not say most people. Okay, it's not uncommon for you to have multiple exchanges. Like, for example, one day Coinbase was down for whatever reason, and I needed to send money to Waves, but I needed to buy Ethereum because Waves.exchange is offshore. So I can't just add, US dollars to it. So I had to the workaround is to like buy Bitcoin on, a Coinbase or a Binance, or in my case, I used Gemini. And then once I bought it was Ethereum actually. Once I bought the Ethereum, I was able to send it to Waves so that I could get the type of coin that I needed, which was, it was NSBT. So this is important, right? Not every exchange is going to have every single coin you want to buy. So as a result, you might have to have a few different exchanges that you turn to because one exchange may not have it, but the other does. And if that's the case, you can literally take Ethereum, for example, and you could send that Ethereum to this other exchange, and then you could use the Ethereum to buy this NSBT, for example. Does that make sense? I feel like that's a really important point. I want to make sure that folks are like able to grasp.
Yeah, for sure. If you have any questions about what's being said, definitely drop them in the comments. We'll be paying attention. And then also, really quickly, just to reset the room, because I'm seeing new names and faces joining. Welcome.
What's up? What's up? Sorry, I can't help it.
Welcome everyone to another session with Undertones and Crypto Tutors. This is the second of 4 sessions that we're doing in a joint series this month, focused on increasing financial literacy for communities of color. So we are joined today by Lisa. She is one of the co-founders of Crypto Tutors, and we are just talking a little bit about crypto fundamentals. So If you have any questions for Lisa, we're going to have a whole Q&A session at the end. So go ahead and drop them in using the question and answer box. And if you just have clarifying questions along the way, feel free to drop those in the comments as well. Cool. So really quickly, you also touched on the ability to buy fractional shares. For people who are wondering what that means as far as like the return on their investment, is it still worth buying a like sliver of Bitcoin versus buying a stock?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Versus buying a stock.
Like buying like common stock instead of investing in Bitcoin. Like if I only had a fixed amount to invest in one or the other, could I still see great returns coming out of like a fractional share of a Bitcoin?
So no, Nina's writing, was I scared to invest in cryptocurrency? Yes. And I had to have somebody hold my hand through the process, which was also how Crypto Tutors really started, but we'll go there another time. 100,000%. I'm a huge proponent for, I'm not a financial advisor. We are not advisors at Crypto Tutors either. We are solely providing educational guidance, direction, and, I am a huge believer in the sort of eternal value that cryptocurrency offers. And from a fractional standpoint, I think it's phenomenal that, somebody has $20, and we talk about this in our course, how like learn how to make money while you sleep. Because of the fact that through fractional buying, the barrier to entry is very low. And so you can start off with like, let's say $20, just to get your feet wet. And the thing is, if you invest $20 and, the coin goes up by triple digits, let's just say hypothetically speaking, right? Brittany, if something goes from $20 to up 300%, how much is that? A lot. So, I mean, if you're going to make money from like not doing anything, like other than just having it in the coin and let the coin do its thing, then I don't see how that could be a bad thing. Now, for example's sake, and we mentioned this earlier, and I think I want to I want to harp on this. Again, many of us have savings accounts. Your money is sitting in the bank. And it's being lent out. The money is being lent out by the bank. So the bank is using that money to loan, to home buyers and to, potentially finance cars and boats and whatever, businesses. But you're making less than 1% on that money that's just sitting in the account. So on the flip side, if there's an opportunity for you to take even $100, $1,000, whatever you have in your savings account, and it increase by 10%, 15%, 25%, 100%, 300%. To me, that's a much better strategy. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, and I personally agree. It's just like a question that I think gets asked quite a bit. And you're right. A lot of the time we have cash that we are okay with investing, but it's just sitting in the bank. But we saw back in December, starting in March, but really heavily in December, like this huge shift of wealth from multimillionaires, billionaires that were just keeping cash in the bank to cryptocurrencies. And it was for the sake of fighting inflation, which is something that we're starting to hear a little bit more about if you're paying attention to the news and paying attention to some of these conversations around like support packages coming out of Washington, D.C., these like stimulus packages. So something to definitely consider.
Can we dig in on that a little bit? Because one of the things about being in the United States, we haven't really experienced hyperinflation. We haven't seen the value of the dollar just plummet. And when you talk about markets like Venezuela and Zimbabwe, for instance, they can tell you what it's like to have, in Zimbabwe, for example, I think it's like $100 trillion note. And I say that to say, part of the hedging, which you were referring to, where folks are, well, institutional money, they're taking their money out of currencies like the euro and the dollar, particularly here in the US. Let's go back to the stimulus plan. They printed more money. That's
Yep.
an example that in and of itself is a recipe for hyperinflation. The fact that, trillions of dollars it just came out of nowhere, right? Now, not to mention that like we are still operating at a deficit, right? Like this country is in so much debt, primarily owned by China. I say all of these things to say when we think about how we can protect our wealth, historically gold has been the hedge, the safe bet. And what's interesting about gold versus a Bitcoin, for instance, is that gold is obviously a finite resource, so is Bitcoin. However, we do not know how much more gold there is in the world. You see, we do know that there's only 21 million units of Bitcoin, which is why it's been such an effective hedge. Look at those hearts popping. Okay, because people like, damn, she's not only cute, she knows what she's talking about.
But this is super important. So did you continue? Go for it.
So basically what I was saying is that the notion of store value, right? Like we talked about this the last time on the cryptotutors.com site there on our blog. We talk about is Bitcoin digital gold, and part of the rationale in Bitcoin being digital gold is the fact that it's a finite resource, so scarcity is an issue. It's not meant like the use case for Bitcoin is also not like as a payment system. Like you can pay people with Bitcoin, but the truth is that I don't think that is as popular a use case given how effective a hedge it is, because of the fact that it has store value. Read about what that is. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I just want to make sure I'm sowing these seeds in people's minds to think critically.
Definitely.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, so we are going to open it up to audience questions in just a second. So if you have questions, are kind of like formulating them in your head, now is the time to drop them into the Q&A section. It's that little speech bubble with the question mark in it. Or you can just drop it in the comments. That's fine too. But while people are doing that, we at Undertones like to end Founder Friday sessions by asking the same question, which is, how are you aiming to live equitably?
That's a good question. How much? You always ask that, and I'm always like, how much? You know what? I think teaching people. Wait, hold on. Am I going to live equitably? Okay. So the business model associated with what we're doing at Crypto Tutors, for example, is all about helping people transform knowledge into wealth. And I think that is one of the most powerful and life-changing gifts that you can give. The gift of making and creating wealth. I think a lot of us have the mindset of exchanging our time for money. We have jobs. And when you think about how expendable we can be, when you think about the fact that like companies can how do you say, they downsize because they want to reduce their overhead, or they want to automate jobs, or they are taking the jobs offshore. It is so important to understand how to make money on your own, create your own economies. This is why it's such an awesome revolution that you're seeing in the art world. Historically, art has been a field that if you did not have a benefactor, you didn't come from wealth, you didn't have a trust or any of that, you wouldn't necessarily be able to pursue that. There's this concept of a starving artist, for example. But now that with NFTs, the tokens that we were referring to earlier, artists are able to become their own economies. And so when we talk about living, what it means to be equitable and really fight for equality, these are examples of how the work that we are doing at Crypto Tutors is really honoring that mission. And that's Mass Certified.
Definitely. Do you want to talk a little bit about your course and what Crypto Tutors, just to get people familiar?
Sure. So the course, cryptotutors.com, you can go and you can see, exactly what the different chapters are. There's three different types of cryptocurrencies that you'll be taught how to purchase, Bitcoin, Waves, and stablecoin USDN. I call out stablecoin USDN also because if you're risk averse, if you're somebody that is, wanting to be cautious and not necessarily want to be exposed to the volatility of a Bitcoin because it can drop 30, 40, 50% or what have you. Stablecoin, which means that the price of the coin is more or less fixed because it is collateralized by a fiat currency like a dollar or a euro, or another crypto. In our case, stablecoin USDN, it is stable because it's collateralized by another type of crypto called Waves. So
Mhm.
the point I'm making, right, is that if you can generate 10 to 15% interest, like while you sleep, like literally, like you're not doing anything but just keeping it there, it's the same process as your savings account. Well, if you can put it in a crypto that will pay you, 10 to 15%, you get paid daily interest. This is also important, the concept of interest, right? Like, we speak about that in the course. We talk about how, credit card, let me pause and take a step back because I want to make sure that when we talk about interest, people are like crystal clear, right? Like most of the times when we think about interest, it's in relation to what we owe our credit cards. They're charging us 28%, based on whatever the balance is. They keep charging us 28% or whatever. On a flip side, if you could get paid 10, if you could get paid a percentage for just, keeping your money in an account, well, that makes sense. And that's exactly what we're trying to educate people on, how to go about really shifting the mindset of keeping money in an account that earns nothing to keeping money in an account that is going to pay you to have your money there. So the course is for beginners. We really want to introduce people into cryptocurrency. So we explain what it is, we explain why it is, we explain, blockchain. We really want to make sure that we're providing, um, you know, insights so people can make educated decisions around how they choose to invest. Although we make recommendations, as I said, we are educators. So our job is really just to get the wheels in people's minds turning. And if they choose, they have the information that they need to apply what they've learned to generate wealth. So I think in a nutshell, that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. And it's super exciting too, because I think when people initially think about cryptocurrencies, they think about like the big one, Bitcoin, a few of them, the most popular altcoins. But they don't realize that there are options that also give you interest and pay dividends, even, which is something that we touched on last week. So there are definitely options, and it's really exciting that can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm making funny faces. No, I'm like looking and I'm like, okay, sorry. I'm like, am I on the crypto tutors? I'm on the crypto tutors one, right? I'm not on the very. Am I on the right one? Okay.
That's fine. You were just fine. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I think. Oh, Nina, make money while you sleep. That's so funny.
Yeah, she knows. Who doesn't want to make money while they sleep? That's what I'm talking about.
So true. But yeah, I think like more and more people are starting to get interested in the idea of crypto and recognizing the value of it, which is really exciting. Because there was a lot of like fear around it when it first popped up around 2017, was it?
Oh no.
Like,
Bitcoin, and that's another thing I would highly recommend for folks that really want to do their due diligence. Read the Bitcoin white paper. Bitcoin, as I said, it was 12 years ago. It's
yeah.
been years, but it started to pop off like in the past like couple of years for sure.
Yeah. And I just remember like in 2017, there were all kinds of like think pieces about whether or not crypto was a good idea or how it could never. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's really exciting that you've created a platform where people can learn why that is not the case, and learn about what their options are as they get started. So
One more thing though, because I also think that this is important. You know, we talked about on an individual level investing and teaching people like the practices to create wealth for themselves. Another aspect of our business model at Crypto Tutors is to teach people to become certify folks so that they themselves can become tutors. So we, in the vein of creating our own economies and teaching others how to do the same, in addition to taking our courses, you yourself can become a certified tutor, and you can literally make money to educate people on how you do what you do. And we have basic tutoring on the site, and if that's that's where people start who become tutors that are new to the industry. But then, Johanna, we also have advanced tutors. So what we're doing is we're really creating a community, an ecosystem of subject matter experts, folks that can guide, you know, guide us through the process of understanding how the landscape is evolving. And on a basic level, if you're wanting to, get paid to learn, becoming a certified tutor is a way to do that. And being exposed to all these thought leaders that we're also, we're having join the advanced tutoring division is really amazing. And another thing that I'll leave with, because we are committed to, again, sharing the type of knowledge that can be translated into wealth and wealth building practices. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we are always releasing great content. Crypto Tutors is relatively new. We've been around for not even a month. And we've, on our YouTube channel, we have our music video, because that's another thing. We're incorporating edutainment, so education and entertainment, a hybrid of that when we're producing our content. And so definitely check out the Crypto Couch, where we host subject matter experts. Our first topic, coincidentally, is about non-fungible tokens. And you're going to see people that look like us, talking that talk, providing guidance and direction. And we really want to provide as much inspiration and information to help people navigate, because it's complex.
yeah, it is.
I took notes. I had to take notes. You was asking crazy questions. I was like, wait, let me look that up. Let me make sure.
Right, like this is an incredible opportunity that we have to just like sit down with people who have really taken the time to learn about it, and ask the questions that maybe we feel weird asking other people, or like feel like we should know and don't want to like ask someone. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to get some of those taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna put me in a hot seat. Glad I
Yeah.
took my case. I need to cover it over my face, because I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, it looks like there aren't any questions from the audience, so we can go ahead and wrap up. If any of you think of questions later, you can feel free to DM the Undertones page, and we can get those answered next week. But until then, thank you again, Lisa. Thank you to the Crypto Tutors team who are also in the audience. And we are super excited to chat with you next week.
Well, thank you, Johanna. Thank you, the entire Undertones team for continuing to provide a platform for, folks like myself to hopefully share knowledge, wisdom, and just for what you're doing to fight for equity and create a more equitable world. It's so admirable, and I have nothing but respect and admiration, and I'm just happy to be in this conversation with you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you.
I wasn't as wild as last week. They should watch the other one, because I was bugging. I was on, and that's a whole nother story.
But there was also like some really cool gems dropped in there. So if you missed last week's, we have it saved on our IGTV, so go ahead and check that out. But until then, oh, we'll also save this week's on our IGTV. So
Wait, one other thing.
yeah.
I'm challenging my co-founders, Nina and Moetti, to run point on our next conversations. So you heard it here first. It's the Moetti Nina challenge to, because it's not just me at Crypto Tutors. They're, they're also on like next level. So I want to make sure you guys get to see the entire team. But I'll keep holding it down until
Until they're able to join. That's totally fine. And we're excited to have them when they are able to. So, but yeah, it was great having. Have fun in Miami, but be safe.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you soon. And